Greetings and welcome to the Stoic Gamer podcast. My name's Michael Bolton. In this podcast, I talk to players at all different levels of the hobby about their experience going to competitive events, whether it's their first time or whether they're a seasoned old timer like myself. I discuss the events we're going to, I discuss the events we've been to, and I talk about everything from army building, rules queries, happenings on the table to hotel disasters and culinary and gastronomic accidents, all part of the hobby and all part of visiting different parts of the country and the world as part of our fantastic 40k hobby. If you like this kind of content and you want to hear more, please let me know. If it's on YouTube, please just leave something in the comments. I'll always get back to you if I can. And if you're listening on any other kind of platform such as Spotify, do leave me a message. I can get back. Greetings, listener, and welcome to the Stoic Gamer podcast. Some time ago, you'll remember that I told everybody that we were going to go to the ITT. Me, bunch of mates, and see how we get on. We don't expect to win. We don't expect to be in the top 50%, but we're going to go. We'll have some good time. And we've booked 3 days off so we can have Friday, Saturday, Sunday evenings for a bit of socializing. And we've been working on lists, but, essentially the lists we're going to take are going to be the lists, A, that we have on our shelves, and B, that we're comfortable with playing and we enjoy. This has meant that unlike a lot of the professional teams, we haven't got any matrices lined up. We haven't got a red, amber, green system that says, oh, one of our lists shouldn't be paired against X faction or this particular detachment of X faction. What we have is 5 minutes before the game, when we know what opponent we're playing, for us to go to our team captain, Neil, and say, that one I think I can draw with. I'm going to lose against that. That one I'm going to win. And let our team captain do the drawings. And so I don't have to worry about it. That's our plan. It's not much of a plan, but it's a plan. In the meantime, what most of us have been trying to do is to get some practice in, a little bit of repetition. I've been using the same Necron list for a little while. A slight change just recently because of the points increases in the last data slate. So my list has always been 2 monoliths, the Silent King, some mission playing gubbins, and a Catan. It's still that. The data update put my list about, on aggregate, about nearly 100 points more expensive. So I had to fiddle about. So I dropped the Nightbringer. I replaced him with the Deceiver. And I had to drop a unit of Scarabs and then fiddle about with some other bits and bobs. So my list now is the Deceiver, the Silent King, which nobody else takes because admittedly he's too expensive. 2 monoliths, 2 5s of Death Marks, 2 5s of Flayed Ones, a Hexmark Destroyer, and 3 Tomb Blades. So you can see I've got some heavy hitters, and I've got some little bits for doing mission play with. I took the previous version of this, which was exactly the same, but I had Nightbringer and a unit of Scarabs in it, to an RTT that the Warlords of Walsall ran 3 games about a month ago, and I lost all of them. It was 0 and 3. Not a happy bunny. Yeah, not good. I took the slightly changed list, which I'd like to think isn't really changed. And if it's anything, it's probably a little bit worse because no Nightbringer, for example, and I'm a unit down. And I took it to the next Warlords of Walsall RTT. And to my amazement, I won 2 out of the 3. Now, going 2 and 1 might not sound great to our competitive listeners, but to the Stoic listeners, I think you're all going to be amazed at my improvement. So I was thinking, why have I improved a little bit. What happened? So I think what I'll do is I'll just talk you very quickly through the opponents, the games that I played, and what I felt was important. So the first game, I was fighting a really nice guy called Chris, who had a demon list that was, I suppose, quite typical of demon lists. It had Be'lakor for his shadow of can't shoot me, Scarbrand, which I hadn't fought before, big monster, likely to do some damage, 2 6s of Crushers, Bloodletter, Skulltaker, and 2 of the Rendmaster things. I think that was about it. Might have been a couple of extra little things, but that was key. Now, this isn't a happy story because Chris beat me at 100 points to 32, and 10 of my 32 were for painting, so you can tell it didn't go well. Discussed this list with my friends on the team beforehand, and they told me what to do, and I tried to, but I didn't manage to do what they suggested. Rendmasters basically make all of the other stuff better. So when I tell you that Bloodletters and Skulltaker killed the Silent King in 1 round of combat, you'll be going, surely not. But no, he really did. And he can do that because the Rendmaster basically gives them extra damage, extra AP, extra everything, and was really good. But that was towards the tail end of the game. On turn 2, Be'lakor deep strikes into my deployment zone. He'd had a unit of Crushers in reserve, which came on from the side to within charge range of some stuff I'd got over there next to Be'lakor. Next to Be'lakor arrives Scarbrand, and rushing up behind him is another unit of 6 Crushers. They're basically all in my face on turn 2, and Scarbrand and 1 unit of Crushers charges in, kills a monolith, kills a unit of death marks quite easily, and all of a sudden things are looking bad. Obviously, then what he does is he picks up Be'lakor, drops him in on the other side of the table, along with the Bloodletters, and rinse and repeats, does the same kind of thing on the other half of my army. I still really don't know how to deal with that. I haven't got a lot of infantry to screen, chaff units, and he is as mobile as my Hypercrypt Legion. So, not good. I think I could do a little bit better now, but not good. Second game, World Eaters, and I'm thinking, oh God, because they're going to be in my face straight away. And this was against a guy called Jason. Very close game. And I think he made a mistake on the first turn. He put Angron and a Morlophine in reserve. Now, I'm thinking I'd rather have Angron on the table rushing towards me, giving me something to think about. But he didn't. It was in reserve. It was a close game, really close all the way through. And I was saved when his Morlophine and Angron arrived from reserves, and both of them failed 9-inch charges. Gave me a chance to shoot at things. I didn't kill. I got Angron down to 1 wound, but it gave me a little bit of breathing space. It all went through to the last turn 5. I'm going second. I've been jumping around all over the place. I've still got a lot of my army left, and I've been picking off his 3-man units of Exalted 8-bound by deep striking in with the Silent King and a Monolith and just blowing them away. And the Morlophine's dead. His little units have been picked off by indirect fire by the Silent King when they're hiding in the center of the table, for example. And I've been dancing around, trying to avoid being punched in the face by World Eaters. So we get to the end, last turn. I'm going second. Jason is beating me by a point. He's beating me, he's beating me by a point. So I pick my secondaries, and I need to score 5 points, or the minimum necessary to get back into to beating him. And I pick one that I definitely couldn't score, and then I picked capture enemy objective. Now, he had 10 jackals sitting on his home objective. I had 5 flayed ones in reserve, and they needed to make a 9-inch charge, which they didn't. Then they did. And I was quite surprised that 5 flayed ones absolutely killed all 10 of his jackals. I ended up on his home objective. Thank you very much. And I win the game. All down to making a 9-inch charge on the last turn. So what am I learning from this game? Bit of luck. The question that you have to ask yourself, though, is did I make my own luck? I had dodged around all game. I'd put things in reserve. I deliberately had a unit or 2 in reserve in strategic reserve in the last turn, in case I got behind enemy lines or whatever, and I could score some extra points. So yes, I made a 9-inch charge, but I think I played reasonably well in that game. And to win, what was the score? Final score was 80-76. Not bad. I'm happy with that. I'm happy. So I've won one, I've lost one, and I'm going into the last game, and I'm playing Votan. Now, I played Votan at the last Rogue Trader tournament, and I got absolutely smashed. So I'm not feeling confident. But I'm playing a guy called Michael, who is also not particularly confident by the sound of things. He's down on 1 win and 1 loss like I am. So I'm thinking, okay, we might have a chance. Now, he has 2 land fortresses, 2 of the smaller transports with the berserkers in them, obviously, 1 unit of mini terminators with all of the guns. It could be scary. It could be scary. But we go head to head here, and I'm moving around, picking off units. He's trying to get a bead on me with his big guns from the land fortresses. I want to kill his pioneer bikes first, because I know that they're the ones that can jump around the table and can score when a lot of the rest of his army is pretty slow. So he makes a mistake on turn 1, scouts his 1 unit of pioneers up one edge of the table. I managed to shoot it with a few things and then charge it with infiltrating flayed ones, kill it, dead, gone, turn 1. Excellent. The other unit is on the other flank, and I take some long pot shots at it with some heavy destroyers, and by the turn 3, that's gone as well. He moves it about, I shoot it, I kill it. The deceiver moves up and gets charged by berserkers. He kills the berserkers, but in doing so, he eventually dies by about the end of turn 3. In the meantime, there's some desultory shooting. We're both scoring a few tacticals as we go along. He's keeping his land fortresses at the back of his deployment zone. I drop in a monolith, which he overwatches with with one of his land fortresses and kills it in Overwatch, which was disappointing. Otherwise, I'd have been scoring behind enemy lines. I'd have shot at his land fortress, probably killed that, but these things happen. So we end up beating each other really to a pulp, but I've just managed to score more. It was the mission where it was hold more and score more. So we were holding about the same, but each turn I was able to score a little bit more by keeping my weaker units out of the way and just having the big units like the monoliths, the Catan, and the Silent King involved. Those were the only ones, and I could reanimate those. He was struggling to kill them, whereas I was able to pick off little units that he had as soon as they got out of their vehicles. So I was able to get more in the kill more side of that. So at the end of the game, I scored 77. He scored 60. So I win. I'm amazed that I've won, but I have won, and that was pretty good. So what did I learn from that? Well, first game, must screen. from deep striking nastiness. I don't quite know how I could have done it really with the number of chaff units I've got, but must do it. I did screen against the World Eaters, and I just put 10 death marks across the front of the table, across the front of my army. And in the subsequent chat with Jason, he said, yeah, that really stopped me doing anything on turn one. I think he could have still done something if he'd have kept Angron on the table, because he could have flown over them and then hit all my good stuff. But he didn't. So I think that is something that maybe I should get better at. But I did it the second game and I won it by a whisker and by a little bit of luck, but I won it. So that was okay. What else did I learn? I think that by playing with the same army for a couple of months, I'm getting better with it. I kind of know what it does. I kind of know what units I don't want to get involved with and what units I should prioritize at shooting. So I think what I've done is I've accidentally become better through a little bit of practice. So just reps are helping me. What else have I got here? There were some changes to the list. I don't think they make a lot of difference. And in some respects, the Deceiver is quite good in a Hypercrypt Legion, because he allows you to redeploy some units even into strategic reserve at the beginning of the game. And also, he's not as brutal as the Nightbringer in combat, but he does a flat 3 damage at -3. So against a lot of 3 wound models, that's pretty good. It's reliable. And I kind of like it. And then finally, he's OC6, which is better than the other Catans, and he's got stealth. So in terms of doing behind enemy lines, dropping in, causing trouble, and then the clap back from the opponent, if they're shooting at him, he's more survivable than the other Catans, and they are very survivable. So, I think that's good. So what does this mean? Well, I think this augurs pretty well for the International Team Tournament. As I say, I don't think our team are planning on doing anything better than being mid-table, but the 2-1 at an RTT should translate to a 3-2 out of 5 games. If I win 3 out of 5, I'm going to be happy. I think that if we can get our pairings right, I think I can do 3. And I think, funnily enough, I think my team members could probably do 3 as well if we get the pairings right. If I get to fight another demon army, I might be in trouble. But, we've got other armies with the marine infiltrators that stop anybody deep striking within 12 inches, which are really good against demons because it really pulls some of their teeth. So that's it. I'm feeling pretty good about that. We are going to go to the ITT in a couple of weeks. The weekend before, we're all going to Alex's house for a practice weekend, which will probably be more drinking than practicing. But that's all good. And then we have the ITT. The next podcast is going to be a bit more contentious. I was accused by Vic VJ, friend of this channel, and I like to think friend, who accused me of being passive-aggressive in my comments on his fabulous podcast, the Fireside 40K podcast, which he does with Dave Gaylard, which is, if you don't subscribe, you should subscribe and listen to it. If you're interested in competitive wargaming, that is one of the best podcasts you can listen to. But he accused me of being passive-aggressive, and then in the comments suggested that if I had a problem with competitive wargaming, why didn't I say what I meant instead of just hinting at it? So the next podcast, I'm going to say a few words about what I think is wrong with competitive gaming. Please don't think for a moment that there's anything wrong with competitive players. What I want to talk about is what competitive gaming does to the game and what I feel is not necessarily sometimes to its improvement or betterment. Sometimes it can make it a little bit difficult and challenging. And that's what grinds my gears sometimes. So I'm going to talk a bit about that, and I'm sure that will be a little bit difficult for some people to hear. But for us stoic players who are never in the top end of competitive play anyway, it makes no difference. So thank you very much for listening. It's been a quick one today, but if you've enjoyed it, don't forget, press the subscribe button, press the listen more, press the he's a really good fella and I want more people to share this buttons wherever you are. And until then, until next week, see you on the ice.